Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Little Acts of Kindness. This will be Part 77, Chapter 77, entitled Hatsumes and Hound Dogs. Izuku was distracted the following day as the classes proceeded, enough that his friends asked him if something was wrong. He told them no, just that he was thinking, and they let it go. His message, his conviction, it was something his grandfather had helped him create for the Civil War. But Izuku couldn't help but think that it was useful for life as well. While yes, he did create his message as a villain, it could easily be something that could be propagated as a hero as well. He had become a hero to help people, so that if he saw a crying child he would help them. He wouldn't leave them alone in pain. More than anything, he wanted to help. But quirk discrimination hurt people every day, thousands of people suffering as others lorded their quirks over them. These people were treated poorly, were forced into the dregs of society, and then those who forced them took this as confirmation for treating those weaker like trash. Confirmation bias and herd mentality, two very dangerous conditions that plagued their society. If Izuku became a hero, he could help. But only if he was an above-ground hero, which he didn't want to be. He wanted to be an underground hero, yet even by himself he wouldn't be able to spread his message, at least not without the help of others. He was going to use this exercise to spread his message, to try and get the others to work together under a common banner. He wasn't sure if it would work. His grandfather seemed sure, but still, Izuku held his doubts. If the message did work, though, if the others liked his message, perhaps he could convince them to help him change society. That when they graduated, they would work together to try and stop discrimination. That would be nice. Maybe it was just a dream, but Izuku wanted to believe that he could help change society, and change it for the better. Denki nudged him gently. Izuku, might want to pay attention. Aizawa-sensei keeps glancing at you in concern. Izuku startled a bit and flushed, sending a sheepish smile to Denki, who grinned at him and gave a thumbs up. Turning his attention to Aizawa, the teacher continued his newest parkour lesson. He was giving them a few generic tips and tricks, then he ran everyone throughout the course one by one. This time, he moved with them, and stopped them after they went through each obstacle. He would redo the obstacle, but show alternate ways for a person to get around the obstacle, using their quirks and their wits. They only managed to go through once, but each of them gained a valuable lesson, which would help prepare them for the Hell course on higher difficulties. Soon the day came to an end, and Izuku made his way to the support course, instead of his appointment with Hound Dog. He had at least remembered to warn the man he would be late, though he didn't know for how long. Knocking on the door, it soon opened, and a bit of black fog poured out. I apologize for the fog. Hatsume was working on a new type of smoke grenade. It's fine, Izuku said. What can I do for you, Midoriya? Do you need any help? Powerloader asked. He shook his head. No, Sensei. I was actually wishing to speak with Hatsume. You want to speak with me? What can I do for you? Do you want me to make you one of my babies? A girl with pink dreadlocks said, seeming to teleport right in front of him with wide, yellow eyes. Izuku flinched, taking a couple steps backward. Calm down, Hatsume, Powerloader commanded. Boo, she whined, sticking her tongue out at him. So, what can I do for you? She asked, a bit more calmly, though there was still an excited gleam in her eyes. Well, can we talk privately? I have a lot to go over, Izuku said. Her eyebrows shot up in interest, and she nodded. Sure, we can test one of the rooms meant to withstand explosions. They block out a lot of sound, so whatever secret babies you want made will be kept between us, she said, giving an unhinged-looking grin. Powerloader watched as Hatsume pulled him away, shaking his head as he made a comment of, Good luck. I hope whatever you're after is worth it. As Hatsume laughed, Izuku swallowed. Soon the two were alone in the room. So what do you need? First, I want non-disclosure, just between us and your teacher if you have to tell him. Done, Hatsume said, rubbing her hands gleefully. You know about the Hero Course's Civil War exercise, right? She nodded. Yeah, Momo told me about it, and said that the hero team had no idea what to expect from the villains, or even who their leader is. Izuku gave a slight smile. I'm the leader, and I have a plan. Hatsume turned curious.
Now I'm definitely intrigued. It sounds like you need me for your plan, but to my knowledge, people from other courses can't participate.
Izuku's smile turned a bit crooked, subconsciously imitating his teacher.
Yeah, you can't participate, but that doesn't mean you can't give us supplies before the event. So you're allowed to take in gear? On the day of the exam, we can only take what we're wearing.
Hatsume frowned. Then her eyes widened and she grinned.
You plan on having my babies placed in the city before the war starts.
Izuku gave a nod.
I've had one of my teammates scout out a location to be our base. All right, so I make babies for you and your friends and make sure that you get them to your secret hideout. Sounds like you're getting a pretty good deal out of this, but what do I get? She asked, looking serious.
What do you want? Izuku asked.
She smiled. First of all, you'll make sure your teammates know who gave them whatever babies you want me to provide. Second of all, I need heroes to be my clients in the future. You're going to be my client.
Izuku hesitated and swallowed before replying.
Agreed, but only if your gear is good. Don't worry your pretty green head. My gear is the best. Now let's talk shop. What sort of babies are you wanting snuck in?
Izuku pulled out his journal and flipped through the pages before he and Hatsume started discussing what could be done in a few days and snuck into the exam. He also instructed the importance of having some of the items, as well as getting another promise of secrecy from her. Soon, though, he was leaving with a satisfied smile. If Hatsume could do what she promised, then their chances for winning increased drastically. He walked through the empty halls of UA to the office with Hound Dog. He knocked on the door, and the therapist gave a soft bark, a signal to come in. He entered the office and sat down on the couch. "Good afternoon, Midoriya," Hound Dog said, giving a nod of his head.
Good afternoon, he replied.
"How have you been since we last talked?" Izuku thought back to the past week, from having a sleepover with his friends, realizing they were his friends, to finding out he was the team leader for the villain team, to trying to figure out what he was going to do.
It's been nice, for the most part.
Hound Dog gave a reassuring grin, or at least Izuku liked to believe it was meant to be reassuring. Izuku reached into the basket and grabbed one of the fidget toys, remembering when he was in here last week and they had talked about Ectoplasm's behavior, about what he did. Now Hound Dog reaffirmed that his behavior was unacceptable, and that it wasn't Izuku's fault.
I had a sleepover with some of my classmates, Izuku started, smiling a bit as he remembered. We watched musicals together, and we even baked a cake. In the morning, Tokiyami added these shiny objects into our hair, and then we returned the favor, Izuku explained, beaming. I gave them permission to use my first name, and they returned it. We're actually friends.
Hound Dog let out a soft chuff. Sounds like you had a good time, and I'm glad you're making friends.
Izuku gave a nod. The not-so-good part is the Civil War.
Oh? The counselor asked. Izuku fidgeted with the toy, looking down at the object, though he didn't take in any of its details.
I was made the villain leader.
Hound Dog gave a nod, and Izuku frowned a bit.
At first, I didn't think that I had what it takes to lead the team.
And that's changed? Hound Dog asked, after a moment of silence. Izuku bit his lip, shrugging for a moment before answering.
I think I definitely feel a bit better about leading them, but I'm not sure if I'm good enough. I don't know if my plan is good, or if I can even get them to follow me.
Hound Dog tilted his head. What is it about your plan that you're doubting? Izuku glanced towards the window, looking out and seeing the empty grounds, the blue sky, with white clouds drifting by. What was it about his plan that he was doubting? He was fairly confident in how it would work, that there shouldn't be too many complications. He was nervous about the video, but he could pull it off.
Well, he started after a moment. I think it would have to be that we have to act like villains, he finally answered. As he said this, he realized just how true it was. We're training to be heroes, but yet they want us to act like villains and to do property damage or pretend we're killing people, even if they are just robots.
I see. Do you know why the school has the Civil War? Izuku frowned and then shook his head. This event allows students to see what it could be like in the real world, the chaos a group of organized villains can create. It does so in a safe manner where they won't get hurt. We do the Civil War 3 times, once each year. Each year we switch the teams up, though we make sure each student can participate on both sides. For those in the villain position, this gives them a chance to let loose with their quirk a bit. Yes, they can have some fun, but it also will help the students realize how dangerous their quirks are, especially as they've had training that many others haven't. Both sides are able to learn from this and grow, and by the end of the 3rd year, you will have experienced both sides and know the limits of your quirk, what you can and can't do without hurting yourself, others, or even your surroundings. But you'll also start to figure out when you need to go past those limits, when the stakes of losing are greater than the other downsides. Wow, Izuku murmured. Hound Dog gave a soft chuff of amusement. For this exam, it's okay to let loose. It's okay to go a bit more overboard than you would in a normal training exercise. It's expected, even, and Recovery Girl will be stationed nearby in case of emergencies. Izuku gave a hum. Thank you, he said, smiling a bit. I feel a bit better. It was okay for him to act like a villain during this exam. Though the very thought made him feel a bit bad, he reassured himself that it was okay. It's no problem, Hound Dog replied. If it helps, think about it as a stress relief. You can vent any frustrations with Bakugo without interference from teachers, unless things get too out of hand. Izuku blinked, this new information causing his mind to spin in different directions, as he realized for the first time that Bakugo was on the other team, that he would probably face against the blonde, his former bully. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 77 of Little Acts of Kindness. Chapter 78 will be up next. I hope you all are still enjoying this one. I'm eager to hear those thoughts and reactions. And as always, thank you all so much for listening.